part, it wasn't anything special, but when I broke it, it made me sad, so I decided to get a new one. Oh yeah, that's cold. My coffee is cold. What do you think? Yeah, that's not great. Maybe we'll do water. But anyway, so I bought this mug. It was called the Tatas Cup. So I think you can guess what these designs are. But I really love the texture of it. The inside is classic shiny ceramic like you'd think of for a mug, but the outside is kind of this rough texture. And it just feels good to hold it. So that's a favorite from January. I have these kind of like broken out by categories, I guess. I started with favorite purchase because I happen to be holding it in my hand, but my next category is going to be an action. My favorite action that I took in January was making another donation to Artist Trust with the AdSense money that we made on this channel for the month of December. In January, we donated $243.89 to Artist Trust. I'm really proud of us. As a reminder, that was with the revenue that we made in December, which I think it's an especially good month for advertising on YouTube because of the holidays. We didn't make that much in January, but we did in December, and I'm very proud of us. I'm very excited, and that was my favorite action for the month of January. Next category is music. I found a new band that I got really into in January, and that is Fontaines DC. Fontaines DC. Fontaines DC. They released a new album called Romance, and I've been really enjoying that album and the band. At the beginning of the month, I had been watching a bunch of live performances on YouTube, as I do pretty often, and one of their songs came up in the algorithm, and I'd never heard of them. I'd never heard this song, but it was the song I Love You. That was my introduction to the band. I thought that it was a love song, as you can imagine by the title. But the more I listened to it, the more I thought, I think he's being sarcastic about being in love with this person. And then I listened to it more, and I realized I don't think it's about a person at all. That led me to Reddit, which confirmed that the song is about their relationship with Ireland, the country that they are from. So I'm just having fun diving into the band's discography, but also trying to understand a little more about where they're coming from with their music. I've been really loving the band Fontaines DC for the month of January. Number 3 is a movie. I saw this at the very beginning of January. It's called My Old Ass. My Old Ass. It's a coming of age story. It's a story about love. The plot of it is that a beautiful story. The actors were phenomenal. And it really left me with a beautiful, warm, fuzzy feeling after. The type of story that I want to hear more of. The next category here is activity. And my favorite activity for the month of January was going to see a play at a community theater in the closest city to us. I don't want to say the name of the play because then you would know where we live. It was in a smaller theater, not the main theater, and it was set up so that the stage was down in the middle, and there were 3 risers around it, on the sides and in front. And I'd never been to a play where the audience was set up like that, so we actually picked a seat on one of the sides just because I'm so used to looking at things from, straight on. And it was really cool to just have a different perspective. And obviously the actors are very aware that there's people on 3 sides, so they're cheating their bodies and turning a little bit so that you really can see more than I thought I'd be able to from a side angle like that. The actual logistics of the play were very interesting to me, but the story itself I thought was incredibly well executed. It was touching on some political topics, how our lives are impacted by external factors outside of our control, and how we react to them and how that shapes our lives. It felt like a good time for me to see and hear a story like that. And I haven't been to a play in a really, really long time, so it was extra special that I got to go see a different type of art than I'm used to seeing. The next category is going to be my favorite food. My favorite food of the month. And for January, it was a dessert that I made. They are called the cookies, but really it's just a shortbread cookie recipe with dark chocolate chunks in it. And I love shortbread cookies because they're not too sweet. And then you put some really lovely bitter dark chocolate in there. Love it even more. Something a little special about the cookies is you shape the dough into a log, and then you do an egg wash and roll it in demerara sugar. I think I'm saying that right. Like sugar in the raw. And then you slice the cookies, bake them with some flaky sea salt sprinkled on top. You take a very simple cookie like a shortbread cookie, and you're just doing these little additions to it that make it really above and beyond. And one of my family members had a birthday in January, so we had everyone come over for dinner. My sister and I made the cookies together, and then we had them for dessert. So not only was it a delicious cookie, but it was, as part of a hosting experience, since I hosted my family for dinner. The last category that I have on here is a favorite podcast from the month of January. And on my showing you some of my favorite records video, there was a lovely person who commented and recommended that I check out this podcast called Dissect, because I had talked about how much I love Radiohead and how much I like listening to isolated tracks of songs, kind of picking them apart. And oh my gosh, thank you again to the person who recommended that, because what an incredible podcast. They did an entire season 11, on the Radiohead album In Rainbows. And each episode focuses on one song from the album. They talk about lyrics, they talk about instruments, they pull the isolated tracks, and I always knew that I appreciated the complexity of Radiohead songs before I listened to this podcast, but I have an entirely new respect for the level at which they are considering every detail in a song. It was like an art appreciation class for me to listen to this podcast.